Play Rattery. This is part 2 of our Grotto building instructional videos. So as you can see, I've got the frame together now, and I got the hardware cloth on the back. So I told you to stop at one of 2 points in the instructions, either when they tell you to put the backboard on or when they tell you to put the first shelf in. It's almost always the middle shelf, because the middle shelf is almost always a fixed shelf. It's not adjustable, so there's the middle shelf there. I did actually install it because I'm making this 2 cages. I didn't have to do anything to this shelf. But if you are going to be making this into one large cage, before you install it, you'll want to put the hole in the shelf so that they can access through the shelf. And then instead of putting the backboard on, Xander, please stop that. Get the car off there, please. Before you, they tell you to install the backboard, obviously you're not going to be putting the backboard on, you're going to be putting this hardware cloth on. So as you can see, there's the hardware cloth. You need to cut it to size, and I will generally put the whole thing on and just make sure that it's centered and staple it on and then cut it. And then I staple it, as you can see, if you can see here, I staple it about every 4, and I usually alternate between doing it crosswise or lengthwise if I'm able to. So as you can see, all the way up, and I even did it across this shelf too. For this one, so because I need to ensure that they aren't going to sneak, because it is a male in one part and female in the other. I need to make sure they're not going to sneak between, because their planned pairing is not until January, so I don't want them getting access to each other before then. So I stapled the hardware cloth to the middle shelf as well. This hardware cloth I was not impressed with at all. Sorry, if I can find the other piece of it. Here it is. I will show you the brand name. I would not suggest buying it. I will never buy it again. I think it's Benmore. That's what the package looks like. It's actually called wire mesh. Maybe that's the difference, but this stuff is flimsy. It's super flimsy. It's not as sturdy as the stuff I normally get at all. It's like really flimsy. And it also had some pieces missing, like a whole bars of wire were missing from it, or it was pushed up, like it was pulled up from one spot, and like one little tiny pull at it pulled the whole row up. That's not good. Luckily those pieces were on the edges that I didn't need anyways. I cut off after I attached, but if those were in the center, then they would have been no good for me. So I would not suggest buying that. I would suggest going to like Home Hardware, where they have a whole roll of it, and getting it cut yourself by them at the store, because that stuff, if you look at this and how flimsy it is, and you look at this, like there's no give to it at all. It's sturdy. So much better. Yeah, so I have the whole back installed. One thing I will say, you're going to have to do the whole back with the hardware cloth. If you don't, there's not going to be enough ventilation. If you only do the doors, there'll be by far not enough ventilation. It will stink easier between cage cleanings, and it's just not good for them. They need a lot of ventilation. So this provides thorough ventilation because the entire back is open. The other thing is if you put the backboard on, all the backboards with these kits are like a flimsy little cardboard, and they'll chew through that in seconds. So you really need to do that. The one downfall of these cages is because the whole back's open, you will have a bit of poop or litter from their litter box kicked out of the cage, out of the back of the cage. I never knew this for the first little while that I had my grottos until I happened to pull one out one day, and there was poop mountain behind it. Make sure between like when you're doing your deep, guys, please, I'm recording, honeys. Okay, so make sure that when you do your weekly deep cleaning that you pull it out and sweep or vacuum, because otherwise there will be poo buildup at the back and it will stink. So yeah, that's the one downfall of these cages, but for the price and the convenience of them, it's definitely worth it, I think, anyways, to just have to pull it out once a week and sweep or vacuum behind it. So, before you put in the center shelf and for every other shelf, I will just show you, you're going to have to put an access hole through it. So the duct tape, perfect size access hole. My adult bucks, which are my biggest, they can go through this hole, but then I make it even a little bigger by tracing the outside. So you just need to put it down where you want it. Thanks, honey. So you just need to put it down where you want it, trace around the outside. I suggest doing alternating each, just to give them a little more exercise when they're going up and down the cage. Each shelf, put the hole on the other side. So one you'll have here, the next one you'll have over here, next one over here, and vice versa. So once you trace that, this isn't all the way through yet, but drill a little hole so that honey, please. Just so that the outside edge of your tracing is right on the edge of the drill bit. So you're just kind of making a hole so that you can get your jigsaw through. And then use your jigsaw, honey, I'm recording, please. Use your jigsaw to go around. So I've already done one. So, like I said, I'm warning you, my woodworking abilities are not great, but it does the trick. This is, hopefully it'll look a little bit better, but this is a general idea of what it will look like when you're done. So there's an access hole there now that's big enough for any adult rat to get through. Again, not pretty, but it works. And then you'll want to do that for all of your shelves. And then you'll also want to do pretty much the same idea with the doors. So I'll just throw one of the doors up here. So there's the door. And what I suggest you do ahead of time, or else you're going to be very upset, is to set up all of the hardware on the door that is going to eventually be on it. So the hinges, the handle. Oh, there's the other one. Thank you, Xander.
Welcome.
So put that all on, and then use something long and straight to trace out. I don't know if you can see there. I used a big tall mirror. Trace out where you're gonna want the windows and the doors. But the thing is that make sure that you are clear, very clear of any of the hardware, especially the handles, because the handles might be out a little bit from where the screws are on the other side. So there's the handle. Got to make sure you're going to clear that, and give yourself enough space for staples on the other side of this. So you're going to have to make sure that you can staple past the line. So once you have that traced out and it's the way you want it, you'll do the exact same thing as I did for the shelves, to start in a corner with your drill on the inside of the line so that just the edge of the bit is touching the edge of the line, and then take your jigsaw, cut out the entire hole. So that's what I'm going to do for now, is finish the shelves and finish the door. And then I'll be back to show you, I guess it'll probably be in another part 3. I will show you how to attach the hardware cloth on the doors, and pretty much finish up the outside of the grotto. Alright, so I will be back later with a new video.